And we're live.
Uh,
Ah. Oh, we're singing now.
Welcome back to the Nathan and Steven podcast Time Times. We're talking about things and movies and things and shows and things. Today, what are we talking about, Steve?
We are talking about the Holy Raimi Trilogy,
Yeah. Are we already on, is this episode 7?
episode 6.
6. All right, we're taking them out.
Yep.
Yeah,
So much content.
so much content. All right, so this is a
Well,
really popular trilogy. It's been
yeah.
around for a while.
So let's just talk about it in general. Just
All right.
what about it?
So, do you want to go first?
No, you can go.
All right, Holy Raymond trilogy. So I know that this is a trilogy that's widely respected, and not just as like a superhero movie, but as a film. People like the stories, they like the character, they like the actors, they like all of it. It has a very strong following, and I'm not sure how much I love it. So, there's definitely a large nostalgia factor in this trilogy for me. For I'm pretty sure you too, because these were definitely my childhood superhero movies, and I still like them like for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
uh, as I get older and as I actually think about what's happening, my enjoyment for them deteriorates a little bit. And I still like them. I just think they're very flawed. That people have gotten a little crazy with comparing it to the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't think it's. I don't know if that's there. So, what are your thoughts on it, just in general?
Um, yeah, those movies were definitely my childhood. Like those, that's what made me like Spider-Man so much. And but rewatching them, like I didn't really remember them because I hadn't seen them in years. But I rewatched majority of them. I didn't
Yeah,
finish Spider-Man
yeah,
3 like 3 times in a
yeah.
row.
I mean, we've seen that. So, well, most of
Yeah,
it. It's rough.
but it's just not that good. Like it's
Yeah.
just age. I mean, maybe it's just aged poorly, but I mean, it's not that good of a movie to be. It's just so all over the place.
So yeah, I want to bring us. So before we even dive into details and stuff, just like we're still talking about general ideas. I know people, especially Joey, who was on the last two. He talked about like Star Wars. We still talk about and critique it just because it's a very interesting franchise to talk about. But there's talk about like you don't need to analyze every movie, just enjoy it. And I have 2 points for that. One, if you even just watch it for enjoyment, you can tell there's something little aged about it and a little bit interesting. It's good and it's entertaining. You can watch it. It won't be like that boring. It's a good trilogy. It's pretty solid. It's just yeah, and at the same time, it's something that's discussed not as just a movie for enjoyment. People analyze this already. They compare it to top films, and Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero film of all time, according to a lot of people. So we are being fair by addressing it and talking about it as, yeah, a film rather than just a superhero
Yeah,
movie. So,
it's just people. There's like crazy fans that just like defend it no matter what. They don't won't accept the flaws.
yeah, there's a lot. So let's just here. I'm gonna close my door. Give me 1 second.
This is great podcast content. You know.
Okay, hold on. So yeah, let's talk about the first one because it's where it all started. It's origin
Yeah.
movie, first one. I remember this one very, very
It's so
vividly.
funny. Oh my
Interesting.
gosh. If
Yeah,
if anything, I can say that
yeah.
these movies are
They're all
hilarious.
whether it's on purpose or not, they're funny, and a lot of the time it is intentional. I think he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Other times he's not, and it's hilarious. But
Yeah.
I saw Spider-Man 1, so where do we
Well,
start?
first off, just starting off the monologue.
Yeah, every movie starts with a monologue, which is storytelling 101. If you've seen any movie, you know the best way to convey information is just protagonist just
Just
narrating.
spitting it at you.
Yeah, Star Wars gets away with it because they're iconic for that text crawl, but this is a little, especially with
Different.
Tobey Maguire, his delivery is a little.
It's
We'll talk
so
about that
funny.
later, just Tobey Maguire. But yeah, the movie. So it focuses on Peter and his origins, and everybody knows it. Uncle Ben dies or whatever, and he is motivated to stop crime. Da da da. Da. And then the villain's Green Goblin, and everyone loves Willem Dafoe. I think he's great as the character, but
It's-
yeah, well, he's it's definitely comedic. So yeah,
yeah.
well, let's talk about. It. So I mean, beginning with just the high school. It's like Peter Parker is supposed to be a high schooler, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even right off the bat, just watching it,
He's
they
not a
all
high
look like they're
school.
not even looking like in college. I don't think they're like grown
Flash
adults.
looks like he's 30.
Yeah, and they're trying to show they do a good job. I will give like of showing Peter. I think it's because of the casting, honestly, that he's kind of a nerdier kid, and he's picked on and stuff, and
Oh, it's
he's,
so
you
funny.
know,
I forgot that one of the things that Cosmonaut pointed out is the teacher that, or like who's supposed
yeah,
to be,
he's younger than the rest of the
looks younger
students.
than the students.
Yeah, that's very good. And then yeah, so it's a pretty good introduction to Peter Parker as like your main protagonist. So I like that. I will give it that. And
Yeah.
even though like it's cheesy, he's getting bitten by a radioactive spider. Every Spider-Man does that, so whatever. I'm not going to critique.
Well,
That's his character.
not the MCU Spider-Man
Yeah.
because
Well,
they
you're
were
supposed
smart
to.
enough to exclude the origin story.
Yeah. And Green Goblin. So I don't actually like this villain that much. Like I like him. I think he's entertaining, and I think the actor's doing a really good job. And I think he's iconic, and he's still to me like the most iconic Spider-Man villain and portrayal of one. But I don't think he's that good a villain, honestly.
It's just, it's like he's just bad. I
He's the
mean,
evil
I like
businessman at the head of a corporation who wants to prove the other
crazy,
businesses
I
wrong.
guess. Like, I mean, y- you're not really meant to think that deep into it
You're
because like
not.
plot holes start to form.
And there are a ton of movies that do that where
Yeah,
the antagonist is just not everything needs to be MCU deep. So assuming we give it a pass, like he works for the plot. I do like that. I know it sounds like I'm just praising this movie, but like I do like that he's Harry's father. No matter where they go with Harry down the line, I do think that that dynamic's really cool. That Peter's friends with Harry, and then the
yeah,
villain happens to be Harry's dad.
yeah,
That sets up. But that's a really cool idea, I think. But
yeah. I mean, yeah, that I just, it's hard to talk about this movie because it's just, I mean, I
yeah,
like
you
it a
can tell by
lot.
my character shreds, and I like it's a very nostalgic movie, especially the soundtrack.
Just not
I don't.
good. Like it,
Yeah, it's
there's
just
just
not
things
great.
about it.
That's why at first it turned apart because we just sound like jerks. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, there's stuff wrong with it for sure. I
but
mean, yeah,
I mean, if they if they had done the betrayal of, um, like, one sec. Okay.
gang gang.
Um. Anyways, uh, I don't know what I was saying. Green Goblin
Trail, yeah,
and New Green Goblin being a
yeah.
thing. Yeah, but I mean, it sets up the betrayal, but it's just not really well executed at all
Yeah.
because he didn't even kill him, and he won't give him a chance. So yeah,
Yeah, I do want to go through it like beat for beat, kind of just because I feel like it would be easier to talk about the moves. So yeah, he gets his powers, whatever. He starts discovering them, jumping off rooftops. It's pretty cheesy. It's entertaining. I like it is entertaining. I don't find myself bored that much during these movies, even though they could be slower. They do a good job of keeping you entertained. And Green Goblin becomes he's bad, so he kills his
bad
spoilers
man,
later. He kills all his people. But anyway, he's bad because he gets like kicked off his board or whatever. His chairman.
and he's gone crazy because
He goes
Green
crazy.
Goblin serum.
And then yeah, so you see, I like Peter's training montage thing or whatever for him becoming Spider-Man, stopping crime. It's pretty good. He definitely makes a gay joke to the wrestling guy that has not held up.
Oh yeah, I
It's a
forgot
lot.
about that.
It's, I mean, it's memed a lot, but that definitely did not hold up. So that's pretty. I mean, that's entertaining. But yeah, I don't. I don't know how good a job they do at making. He is your protagonist definitively, and like they make you like follow him, so you like. But I don't know how like good a job they make like you connecting with him or actually liking him. Like
Yeah,
I personally don't see Peter Parker and be like, wow, I could put myself like that's the cool thing about Spider-Man. He's a teenager. You're supposed to connect with him, and be like, yeah, that could be me, or that would be awesome. And I used to like Spider-Man. I was like,
yeah,
his powers are the
yeah.
best. But his character's definitely it's hard to not laugh at him and be like, I want to be that.
It's just Peter Parker and Spider-Man, or Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, and then
Yeah,
him in the Spidey suit. It just feels so different. They're
yeah.
like not the same character at all.
Spider-Man feels so mature, like when he's actually in the suit.
Yeah, and then when he comes out, he's like, "What? This
Yeah,
isn't
it's
Peter
like that's the
Parker." It's
guy
just like,
doing all this stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's really hard to make fun of this movie without you watching it. Like, it's just like we're saying these
it's just
things,
yeah.
but
But
you
as you
watch
watch it,
clips of this
you
movie.
know,
It's so
yeah,
funny.
yeah, you just see it all happening. There's just random things they include. I forget. I think it's the first one, right? Where it's like they cut through a montage of all like the citizens of the city, all these extras like reacting to
Oh
Spider-Man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They have an
What
Asian
is
lady
that?
on the
Yeah,
violin. It's just little things like that. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. But I
and
mean,
random.
okay, as a story and with the hero and villain, it is a good movie. The more I
Yeah.
think about it, the more this is a good movie. It's just the corniness of it does not hold up for sure, and
It's
the
just
plot is
like you just learn to accept everything that's happening. You don't really
exactly.
question it.
Yeah, so you don't hate it, but I don't know. We'll review each one, and like most likely, at least for this first one, they'll be fairly positive, I think, except for the last one probably. But yeah, and then when we talk about the fan base next to Tobey Maguire, this will get interesting. So let's just get through Spider-Man 1 because it's not that there's not that much to talk about. Everyone universally agrees. I like Uncle Ben. It is sad when he gets shot.
Yeah.
What do you think about Peter Parker's motivation to become Spider-Man, based off of revenge solely?
It's
Actually,
just so weird. That was one of the things I didn't like about that movie. Like actually didn't like, not just the
yeah,
acting and the
yeah, yeah,
weird
like
just
yeah,
like
like a
aging of the
plot.
movie. But it's just it feels so out of place because Spider-Man's whole thing is like you're not supposed to kill, break
They
that
did,
rule. You're not. He's not supposed to like. He's in it for the right reasons. Like with great power comes great responsibility, and he takes the quote the wrong way. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Um,
he
and it
doesn't
just feels
directly
so
kill him,
off.
but yeah, it's
Like even
very
if it's supposed to be like a learning moment, and he's supposed to change from that person, it should have never really started at that place.
and I talk about how I like Green Goblin and Uncle Ben and like Peter Parker. I like Spider Man. I don't love the Peter Parker, but like he serves his purpose. You know, he's good. But I do not like Aunt May or Mary Jane in the slightest.
No, no
The
one.
more I watch, the
Okay,
more
I
like
say no one likes those characters, but there's
yeah. But
people
Aunt
that
May,
do.
like for a while, I just accepted her. Like, but the more I watch, the more she's like snappy and annoying, and it's like compared to Uncle Ben, she's
Which
such like
one?
a
Oh,
sharp
Aunt May.
concept.
Both of them are like that, if I'm being honest. But yeah,
Yeah, but like
Aunt
the
Man.
Spider okay, Spider Verse. I want to talk about another video, not today, but like I really want to talk about Spider Verse. We need to
It's
watch it
really
again. But
good.
that Aunt May is so like cool and like helpful to Miles Morales. Not even around. So you see that to like this Aunt May, who doesn't actually give great advice. Honestly, she's just sort of there, and you know Peter seems so connected to her that you're like, oh yeah, she's Aunt May, so you gotta like her. But I don't love Aunt May if I'm being 100%
She's
honest.
just like annoying. Like
Yeah, she
there's
shouldn't.
that.
She should be a mentor who's not a mentor, really.
I
Like,
forget if it's in. I don't know what movie it's actually in. It's not in Spider-Man 1, I don't think. But it's when Peter tells Aunt May that he was at fault for Uncle Ben's death.
and she like doesn't deny it
And
really. I
she
think it's
just
her
like
fault.
walks away from him. Like
Yeah,
obviously he didn't kill him on purpose. It was an
yeah.
accident. And
He
like,
just Peter is very the good thing about him, like to having Tobey Maguire, like a nerd who you don't really connect with, is you see him. He's vulnerable. Like he feels vulnerable, especially since he has connections to people he loves. So when he opens up about like guilt for Uncle Ben's death, like you actually believe it and you kind of feel for him. And then Aunt May just completely just like cold shoulder.
yeah. And then there's a scene in Spider-Man 2 where she kicks the lawyer.
Yeah,
Just there's just random moments.
or it's like was it
Or
supposed to
when she's
laugh or
Spider-Man saves her,
yeah,
she's just like ungrateful,
yeah.
kind of.
It's really weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I it would have been. I feel okay. I do want to go back to him killing the person. I feel like it would have been more powerful if he brought him to justice and refrained himself for killing. That would have been a good idea. You know, like that would have
Yeah.
inspired me. Had he like just brought him to justice and not forced him to fall off that building.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he eventually encounters Green Goblin at that parade scene or whatever. I think it's hilarious. I love that scene. Because so much happens and he comes, he starts jumping on
Look,
like
it's Spider-Man.
yeah, and he's like, "Hello." He's just really entertaining stuff, dude. No, Willem Dafoe is really good. I like him a lot as the character. He's kind of a Power Ranger type of villain, but
Yeah, in
he's
his
good.
suit.
That whole movie's so cheesy though that like,
I
but
know.
I don't. We keep praising it because we're praising it as a movie that's supposed to be cheesy and corny,
I
and
mean,
it's
I
just
think it was. Sam Raimi's directing is
yeah.
like I feel
You
like that's
talk about the plot. It's just he doesn't like Green Goblin's bad. He's trying to stop him. Green Goblin doesn't have motivations really. He kills the guys he disagrees with, the businessmen. But
yeah.
what's the reason from
Well,
there
it's
on? Like
the
he,
whole thing is supposed to be the Goblin serum made him go crazy.
yeah, I guess that's a weak plot device. But anyway, so
Yeah.
he starts trying to team up with Peter.
There's a lot of plot devices in these movies, so you just learn to glance past it.
I like the one of my favorite things is the burning building like trope, I guess, where I just thought about the like I knew it, but like you know how after like he offers it to him, then he flies away like to team up. They could team up or whatever.
Yeah.
So next time instead of meeting him again or something, he like burns a building, disguises himself as an old lady, and then when Peter comes to save the old lady, he turns around, screams, and like hits him. It's like that's your way of like taking up on the offer. But then in the second one, they do the same thing where he walks into a burning building. It's so like, what do you stereo? Not stereo. It's a I don't know. Yeah, it's like a hero stereotype
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. It's yeah. And then there's just like random editing where they
Yeah,
just like there's like William Defoe jump scares, like Green
yeah,
Goblin jump scares in the middle of the movie. And then there's, I mean, I've talked about this before on the podcast, I think, is when he gets his powers and it's just like weird skeletons and electricity,
yeah.
just like
It's just
weird
really
editing on
no,
Sam
no.
Raimi's part. And like, that's what I think, why I think it was like meant to be cheesy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why everything we're praising for is exactly why it shouldn't be praised as like a top tier film or one of the best superhero movies. It's just
Yeah.
a fun movie you're supposed to enjoy and not supposed to think
Yeah.
it's like this is
Think too hard about.
it doesn't deal with deep themes. It doesn't have to, but it
But
doesn't.
then there's the people who defend it and say
Yeah.
this is the most deep,
We'll
not
get,
this one,
we will
not this
get. We keep
but
referencing it. I just want to talk about all of it later.
Raimi
It's our
fans
not.
make me so mad.
Now and then
But let's
what was I
move on to
gonna?
the next movie, which I do not like.
Yeah, I don't either. So you're talking
Not
about
even
the
for enjoyment. It's just bad.
you're talking about
So
the quick
boring.
cuts and the pacing. This movie constantly moves. But talking about the weird, his like getting the power scene. There's a scene where Willem Dafoe's like kind of crazy. He's talking to himself. He hears himself talking, and eventually it's like him in the mirror, and they keep
Yeah.
cutting back and forth. But they just show these like tiki room looking things just on the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
And they're like zooming in, and then it's just weird like choices like that that I remember seeing as a kid. I don't want to say they scared me, but I was just like really confused. I was like, it was almost creepy. I was like, okay, let's. I don't even know. Okay,
Yeah.
this is so out of. But they like had Christmas, Thanksgiving together. He sticks his finger and like licks it, and Aunt May just slaps him. It's another thing. It's like why? And Aunt May's not likable. You want to talk about Mary Jane?
Oh, I don't like
She's
that character.
the most stereotypical damsel in distress.
Not even. She's
And
bad.
for the first
She's not
movie,
even appreciative.
exactly. I mean, you would say it's okay at first. So in the first movie, they're not even together. He just likes her, and like that's all right. And she's the damsel in distress. All right, it gets a pass at the first one. They're trying it out. It's the original, and he's trying
Sure.
to save her.
Maybe.
So, but her as a character, I don't know if she has a personality trait other than I hate her. She's annoying, and she shrieks like so much. I hate it, but
All the girls shriek.
I don't. Wait, also I don't love Peter, but like Peter is too good for her. I don't know how to say it, but he's just such a genuine, like sensitive person, and she just wrongs him in so many
There's
ways.
just so many things that you just question why. Like
Yeah, it's
the
so,
line where I feel like I've talked about this 100 times, but it's still so weird. Where she's just like, "This isn't about you. This is about me,"
yeah.
and it
It's
just
like,
sums up her whole character.
yeah,
Like,
it's like all right, you're trying to make her more
and
hateable.
then there's a scene where she just gets mad at Peter for swinging by, like he's just being Spider-Man.
Yeah,
You accepted the fact that you were okay with him being Spider-Man, and then you're still getting mad.
and she like shakes her head disappointingly. Anyway, we'll just wrap up the first one. So we get to the end. We've already talked about that's how fast this movie is. There's just a bunch of things that happen. We're almost the
Wait,
climax is he holds up children and Mary Jane.
wait, that's a different movie.
Oh my god! Before I get to the climax, I want to talk about J. Jonah Jameson. I really like J. Jonah Jameson.
He's a really
He's
good
awesome.
character.
He's the one you can tell having a fun time. Like he's stand. It makes the others look worse because they look like they're reading lines, and he's just like so snappy.
He's
And
a really good actor. Yeah,
I
he
really like him.
portrays the
Not
character
even
really
that,
well.
yeah, just like a character and an actor. I haven't read the comics, but I'm sure that's like exactly what he is. He
Yeah,
definitely feels like he embodies the character.
and it like sums up the cheesing. Like you
Exactly.
can
Yeah.
tell that he's supposed to be like a stereotype of
Yeah.
like a criticizing news person.
And I love the little thing he did. Like it goes in. This goes into Spider-Man too. But his little like he wants to hunt Spider-Man. He's trying to hire all these photographers to get him, but he secretly like is in love with Spider-Man. I think that's a really neat detail because when
Yeah,
Spider-Man goes away, he has his costume, and you see him like jumping around his office and say, "It's just a lot, like those are things I like. Like those are the cheesy things that are
yeah.
like that's pretty funny." Anyway, climax of the movie. Do you remember it very well? I just remember he's holding over the. It's like let die the woman you love. Or
Oh, the final battle.
it's so
I talked about summed it up perfectly. The
yeah,
main villain holds the two things that mean the
exactly.
most to the main
It's
character
literally a
in
cartoon.
his hands.
Yeah, it's. I can't stop like laughing at this movie. It's it's good, but like
Just so like it sums up a
basic.
superhero movie. When you think
Exactly.
of a classical superhero movie where it's like an origin story that leads into a villain who's just bad, and it's just like really over exaggerated, like a comic book.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like, and it's just so like typical
It,
that
it does.
it's.
Yeah, I know. It feels like just the most stereotypical superhero anything. And then
But
they
yeah, he
fight.
like holds, and then Spider-Man saves both of them
Yeah, because he's fine.
somehow. I don't remember. And then
And they fight
they
in that
like
like
fight, and then
broken building.
Goblin dies and delivers the best line of the whole movie.
Yeah, so he's like getting all beat up and stuff, and they're talking and having a heart to heart because it's not like a Darth Vader movie. He's trying to turn him almost, being like, yeah, you know, like I know you, whatever, because he knows he's Peter. I don't know when he figures it out, but anyway.
It's at the dinner,
Oh,
the
okay, yeah. Oh
Thanksgiving
yeah, because
dinner
it's
that
a
you
drop
brought
off.
up. Yeah.
And yeah, in the cut. And then anyway, then the glider comes around. He's like, "Is that when he's like Godspeed, Spider-Man?"
Yeah.
that
and
line's
then
already
and
funny.
then
There's a backflip over it, just pins him against the wall.
he's like, oh,
Oh.
right before it hits him.
It's the
Please don't
funniest
tell
thing.
Harry.
But it's like we laugh at it like it's a good thing, but like put
It's
that in any movie. Imagine that was in the MCU. How much hate that would get? Oh, Spider-Boy Jr. is so he's making all these jokes. The MCU's not taken seriously. That's another
so
fan base
funny.
criticism, but
I
like
know.
they don't treat the movies equally. Like they respect these corny movies and they
Yeah.
anyway, that's the first one, and Harry like vows revenge on Spider-Man. First one, like talking about, it's pretty. I mean,
It's good. I
it's
mean, it's
solid
just like
on paper. It's solid. Watching it, it's pretty.
it's
It's
entertaining. I'll give it that.
entertaining.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
worst of the trilogy.
I think.
Controversial opinion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Terrible.
I think this one has the weakest villain.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole like
Even
you talk about like no motivation.
yeah,
Like
and
this is like
yeah,
it
even
doesn't make
Venom and
sense.
Sandman. I don't hate his villains. We'll get to that. Like they both have motivations. I don't
Yeah.
know. They're weaker, but like I don't know. It makes more sense to me than Doc Ock. So how's it start? He's building
I mean,
the sun. What's he doing?
he's building a generator, a
Sure.
nuclear something. It's like
Anyway,
some stupid.
and
They
it
use so
goes.
many scientific terms just to
Yeah,
convince you
it
that
sounds
they know what
familiar.
they're talking about when you
Yeah.
know that they don't. It's so. Ugh.
And then there's oh God, I love the way, so after it explodes, everything goes wrong. I love the way they addressed from the first one that Harry's still mad at Spider-Man. Spider-Man saves Harry's life. He puts him down, and Harry just looks at him like, "This doesn't
Doesn't
change what's
change
happening."
anything. Yeah.
It's like, all right, it's really out of place. I
Okay,
don't know.
but let's just talk about how Doc Ock turned
Yeah.
bad.
So he
The arms that he has helping him building the machines
he loses the
have
chip
a
because
chip in
Yeah.
them, which keeps them
So
from going bad.
the
I don't
chip
know
is
why
what
they would turn bad.
the chip is what makes him able to like
Control the
control.
arms, but
So when
why
they
would the
break,
arms?
the AI
What
takes over.
motivation does the arms have to be bad exactly?
No, but they're not even like bad necessarily. So yeah, so they after that they're in the hospital or whatever. He's like they're getting surgery. Arms just attack screaming nurses and stuff. It's
Oh, that's the
brutal, but
best
it's
scene in the movie.
like
It's just like
yeah.
five screaming
And then
women.
they're like scratching their nails on the floor. Gotta love
Oh,
it.
stop.
Yeah. And then okay, so let's just talk about. I'm just gonna go through the whole thing. Like for Doc Ock, like then he tries to get money from the bank. Remember, because he wants the arms want to fund him building
Rebuilding the thing
a
for
thing.
some reason. I don't know what the arms.
Yeah. Why do the
Arms
arms
are the
want?
real villain. Like Doc Ock isn't really doing anything.
He's just in the
What
arms.
motivation do they have
And
to
if
be
he wants to
bad?
get Spider-Man just because Spider-Man doesn't like him, like the arms are like, oh, that can't happen. We're just gonna
I,
sure.
I don't
He's
know.
he's from the comics, so that means he's a good villain. It's just the Raimi fans don't treat this trilogy fair enough. And the same thing we talk about the corniness. I don't remember this like beat for beat like the other one, but it's still there, which isn't a bad thing. It's consistent, but like this whole
It's not as good. It's
yeah,
just
it's
so
not. It's
boring.
just
Because the
so
movie takes
you
itself seriously. Like the
I
things
know
that people like about the Spider-Man movies is that they're fun and they're
these
like,
are yeah, and that's the reason also people praise it. It's like, oh, it's exploring. It's a okay. I want to compare this to Iron Man 3 and even the Dark Knight Rises, but I don't remember that one as much. So he loses his powers, right? Because he's
yeah,
unable to struggle with life. And okay, like that's a good story you could tell. It is not normal. Peter Parker is such like a schmuck. Like, he's not interesting to follow, and he just wants to date Mary Jane. We'll get to that in a second. How
boy, yeah,
Mary Jane is possible. No, she's probably worse than Spider-Man 3. It's debatable.
so
Pretty
bad.
bad. But anyway, so Peter he eats that hot dog aggressively. Then he's struggling to like he whatever he's fine with it. Then he's like, okay, I gotta get back in this. Struggling to get his powers back. Then he saves. That's a good scene. Him saving that girl. Of course, it's from a burning building. I know she like lifts him up, a full human, and
It's the
she's like a
funniest thing
40-year-old
ever, and it's not talked about. I don't
I
know
know.
why.
They don't address it. He's like falling. She just like grabs onto his arm, just like, oh, okay.
Like, well,
Yeah,
no, because he was struggling to pull himself up, and
I
she
know. And
just
then all of a
grabs
sudden,
him, and then suddenly he's okay.
Anyway, that's a pretty good scene because that shows his character. That's a good character moment. It's very on the nose,
Yeah,
like he's saving a
yeah,
kid from
yeah.
a
I
burning.
mean, yeah.
It's very on the nose, but
There's
it's good.
nothing that's deep about these movies. You can't expect it.
I don't. Where's the scene he gets his powers? Is it literally the train scene that he gets his powers back?
N-
Is that one of the first
No,
scenes?
because he's
Or
wearing
is
the
it?
suit. No, he in the
No,
train
I
scene
know,
he's
but is
wearing
that one of the first scenes where he has a suit again?
he gets his powers back.
Does he have him at the? Oh, he has him at the bank, but that's a whole sequence. The bank
How
goes
does he
into the
get them
train.
back? I don't. There
He
had
just
to
he
be
just gets them
something.
after the burning building. Like he
I think
starts
it
getting.
might have been after the burning building. Because
No, yeah, no, that's like the moment to show that he's like worthy of them or something. It's
yeah.
like a Thor arc, but better.
So
Let's talk
yeah.
about before we get into like all the. Let's talk about Mary Jane. We complained about her being annoying last movie. Let's talk about her this movie.
What did she do this movie? I don't remember.
Her whole thing
Oh wait.
is
Oh.
she
All right.
tries to make Peter jealous
Yeah.
by getting engaged to an astronaut.
Well, okay. Well, we didn't address what happened last movie. Basically, Spider-Man 1. Mary Jane's like, "Oh, I love you," and then Peter's like, "I can't do it. I'm sorry," because it's like supposed to be him committing Spider-Man. Then this movie, yeah,
Wait. Oh yeah, he says it, but she doesn't know he's Spider-Man until the end of this one.
yeah,
The last one, yeah, he just says he can't come there. I remember
yeah,
the scene where she finds out, but
yeah. And so then basically, what you were saying, Spider-Man 2.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure everyone.
No, yeah, you're right. I was just trying to set the timeline.
Yeah. Okay. And so then she gets engaged to a person because she wants to make Peter jealous. And so,
And she
yeah.
does one of the crappiest things in like superhero history. Remember the last one they kiss upside down?
Oh, yeah. She's like, do it to me. Do
I
it.
don't know if it's for
So,
her to determine if that's Spider-Man or if it's this. It's such
such a
a
weird scene.
yeah. She's just saying she's like, oh, it's so weird. It's
Doesn't
so
she leave?
uncomfortable.
Yeah, she leaves like directly after that.
Yeah, because she's like,
Because
oh,
she's like, oh, no,
that's not him. That's
you're not Spider-Man. I'm
only
gone
me.
now.
And then okay,
And
so
then,
moving on, the bank.
yeah, the bank scene. So
Yeah.
then, another great Aunt May moment, just being
So
terrible.
they're there, and she needs money or something, and then she's not getting it, so she kicks that guy in the ankle.
And then,
Then Doc Ock happens to go to the same bank at the same time. Whatever. We'll excuse that. Then he just starts breaking into it, and he just rips it open with his arms. And Spider-Man's like, "All right, time to just go sicko mode." And like, there's
Spider-Man.
chaos, so he's able to. So he fights him on that building. I don't know how he knows if it was a coincidence, but he took Aunt May. So like he had her like up
Yeah,
on
it
the.
was just he just grabbed a random person. But okay,
Anyway,
one thing I will give this movie also is the fight scenes, and like the CGI is
at
actually
least
really good.
the first two rely on practical effects, and I like that.
Oh, really?
Well,
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
so,
okay,
right?
huh?
Don't the first two have pretty like? Because in Spider-Man 3, it's so noticeable in that first fight scene that CG. I'm pretty sure the
Yeah,
first two have mostly because at least in that like parade
mannequin
scene in the
where
first
he's like
one, and
singing.
then in the final battle, like both of those, I feel like that's mostly
I
practical.
mean,
Like,
yeah, it probably is because Green Goblin's suit
no,
probably is. It's not CGI. It looks pretty
no,
real.
I think it's real. That's why it looks like
Yeah,
powering.
yeah. But okay, but anyways, I mean I like the fight scenes. Like they're
Yeah,
not that
for
bad
sure.
and they're pretty well choreographed.
Yeah.
And I think this one's pretty cool. I feel like. I think Doc Ock's just like wait, I'm trying to remember. He's like holding Aunt May, and then
Mhm.
Peter's like trying to get to him, and like he's like climbing on things. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't remember it that well. But I remember it being kind of cool.
Hmm.
Um, and then he like saves Aunt May, and
Yeah.
Aunt May is like, "Oh, I did that myself." Oh, because she does something. She
She
like
like
hits
held
him in
on
the
to things.
back of the head
Yeah,
or
yeah. She
something.
like
Yeah,
figured it.
and then she like thinks she did everything, and it makes me angry at her and make her hate her more.
Even if it's comedic, it's like okay, well, you just got your
It's
life
not
saved.
comedic. Nothing.
And then that
Those characters say is
transition
fun.
into Doc Ock like knocks the train off the tracks or something like that, where the train's like it won't stop or something. It's about to go off.
Funny
So
train scene.
Spidey's solution is to jump to the front of the train,
And then
like get
pull it.
pinned by it, string webs on both sides. There's a ton of them. Just hold it
Then his
like
suit
this,
rips.
and
Iconic
then he just
moment.
makes the best face ever, holding on. Then he passes out, and then
Everyone on the train
everyone on the train just starts
agrees.
passing him. I don't know when his mask came off at some
He
point.
was no, he already had it off when he was
Yeah, he
saving the
didn't. Yeah,
train.
because he doesn't have it off. So they're passing him through. I know it's an iconic train scene, and I like to make fun of the train scene as like an iconic cinema scene, but it is a good scene to show that the city's really by his side. because the MCU, I love that Spider-Man more, but they don't really give you anything. I think this next one will, Spider-Man 3, but they don't give you
Well,
anything to
yeah,
be.
that's the whole
The
thing.
city is on Spider-Man's side. Like that's a really cool thing. It still is. Like,
Except when he's not. Really
yeah,
not.
exactly.
Because they just sometimes hate him.
Yeah, and then all of a
Um,
sudden Doc Ock just shows up and starts beating him up again. But anyway, it's a good scene. I like it.
yeah, it's fine.
It's powerful, but it's definitely.
I mean,
But
it's just
it's so hard to review these movies without sounding like I'm praising the entire thing. Because like as a
you have
story,
to watch. You just have to like
exactly, you
see
just
the
have to
movie,
watch
and
it.
it's so
Or we have to do a
ridiculous.
commentary or what? It's you will know watching it
It's
within the
like
first
the
20 minutes.
plots are fine. It's
They're
just the
really base
acting
level
and the
though.
effects are just
Yeah,
so weird.
I don't know if any of the actors like are doing an amazing job. Besides, I'd say Willem Dafoe, and I guess the Doc Ock guy's doing fine. Harry
I
Osborn,
don't know what they're trying to go for. Like, I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think it's
yeah,
just Sam Raimi's
I
fault.
think
Because
it's Raimi's
Tobey
directing.
Maguire
Yeah,
isn't that bad of an
yeah,
actor.
he's capable.
And yeah,
Mary Jane, I don't know, man. I could do
she's
that role.
no, I don't care.
And then you know, oh, I think Harry teams up with Doc Ock or something because he wants Spider-Man dead,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and he like
yeah.
brings him to his doorstep. I don't remember. Mary Jane's in the finale for some reason. I don't know how Doc Ock decided to steal her, but he has her just out there. I don't know if he knows who Peter Parker is. Maybe he finds
Trying to
out.
remember what happens. Oh, they like
I
he's
for
like
sure know she's there,
rebuilding
but
his thing.
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't.
I remember he just drowns. That's
No,
all.
I remember the whole finale. I just don't remember how MJ gets to
I
there.
think he figures it out.
Maybe because Peter has his mask off for almost the entire like final scene. I remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, he delivers him. He beats him somehow. Maybe it is the train scene. That might be how he figures out who he is. And then he delivers him to Harry. Harry rips off like his mask, about to stab him, and he realizes who it is. And then he lets him go to save MJ. It's a good scene, I guess.
So, no, this movie's so
The
boring.
final
That's
battle.
why I don't remember it because it's not
There's
entertaining.
not like we're able
It's
to
just
talk about.
missing the things that the first movie did well.
You could cover this movie in like 5 bullet points. Stuff like all of these. Like it's so simple. The movie, like that's what people love about them. They're nostalgic, but they're so corny and they're so like base level that they don't deserve
Yeah,
praise.
and
They
like I know one of the things that Cosmonaut praised about Spider-Man One is the pacing of the movies done really well. Where it's like really simple. It's
This one
just
is slow, slow.
Peter
We brushed
Parker
over it
back to
because
Green Goblin, Peter Parker, Green
you
Goblin, their
get the
origin
entire
stories.
like gap where Peter Parker's not Spider-Man because nothing like happens of interest.
Yeah, and it's just this movie has like a little more going on, and it doesn't really pace it that well. Like I
Yeah,
don't remember what order things happened, and it's just like I don't maybe it's just me, but I don't remember the movie that well.
I've
And I
seen it
watched
pretty
it
recently, and
a couple months ago.
yeah, yeah, I grew up with these, so I know them.
Yeah, I mean yeah, but I don't remember when I actually watched them as a kid.
Yeah, stuff just kind of happens, and it sounds good on paper, Trust. I think it's a it will satisfy your needs if you want to be entertained by a superhero movie, especially like since it's a nostalgic kind of cheesy vibe, I guess. So,
Yeah,
but like the character of Tobey Maguire still isn't like lovable here. He's just kind of like Peter Parker. I just call him Tobey Maguire, but anyway, he's just he's the same. I don't know if he really has like obviously he has the arc of like balancing responsibility or whatever, but like in the first of the last movie, he doesn't really have like the whole development arc where it's like, all right, I'm on board
yeah.
with this character. Like he learns the responsibility of Spider-Man twice in the first and second. The third one, nothing. Anyway,
The people who think, I mean, just to briefly touch on the MCU before we talk about it
yeah,
more later. But MCU Spider-Man people say that the Far From Home and Homecoming had the same development for Peter Parker. Like they do the same thing 3 times in the Raimi trilogy, pretty much. It's just
yeah.
him like uh, I don't know. I mean, third
And there are
one,
different types of arcs in the
yeah.
MCU.
This, I mean, actually, maybe the third one's a little different. It's just
I
bad
don't know if it really
different.
has an arc in the third one,
It's just
honestly.
him. I mean, I guess the arc is him.
Losing the black suit and learning
Who
responsibility.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah, anyway, so
There's
final
too
battle.
much in that movie for there to be an arc. That's
Doc Ock is doing a thing, and somehow he gets control over his arms. I don't know if Peter helps, but Peter's not wearing his mask once again.
he
He
like
takes
I
it off
think
a
he like
lot during this movie,
talks to
doesn't
him.
he? Peter doesn't really have his mask on for a lot of this movie. I
Who
feel like
knows? I don't
he
remember.
turns
The
around
movie's boring.
and MJ's like
Drowns.
MJ's just
Does he
staring at him like this.
die? Doc Ock dies,
Doc
right?
Ock dies,
Yeah,
but
he
he's so
drowned.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's
like
what I
he and
thought.
Mary Jane are there. But well, first Doc Ock's like, yeah, I gotta stop it. This is my creation, and he's like, I will
Oh,
not
I
die.
forgot the very end. I thought that was the end. No, it keeps going.
Yeah, he's like, I will not.
She runs away from her wedding.
Oh yeah, wait. Okay, so first Doc Ock, he like stops the thing, he crashes it down under. He brings the entire sun down into the water.
I don't know. Just
Sure.
don't question it.
And I guess his arc as a character is he overcomes the AI with his brain. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Maybe.
Is that a character moment?
I
Sure.
sure.
Yeah. So he does that. MJ finds out. Okay, MJ's about to get crushed by a building. Peter runs over and holds it, and he's like sitting there for 2 minutes, and she's just like looking at him. He's like, "This is really heavy," and then she's like staring. It's so awkward. Like it's so weird. It's not even the pacing. They just choose these really awkward shots and emotional moments too. And he yells like a lot. Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire. He's just a weird like actor. He's very easy to
Let's
make
talk
fun of,
about
and that's
Spider-Man
like not.
3.
Yeah. So anyway, oh yeah, movie ends. So he what you say runs away from the wedding, which is a really garbage thing to do. Because I'm sure that guy was a nice dude.
He wasn't
Sure.
Spider-Man, so no.
Okay. So
Bad.
Spider-Man 3 is the one I remember the most, and Spider-Man 1 is probably my favorite story-wise and nostalgia. But like this one is so good to
It's
make fun
so
to make fun of. All right, first of all, there's three villains, right? Three. Venom,
that's what the
Sandman,
MCU is doing.
Venom, Sandman. I feel like there's one more.
Nathan.
New Goblin, Harry.
Nathan. Guess what
Yes.
the MCU is doing?
Wait, they're bringing in 8 Spider-Men
And
and
six villains.
12 villains. Oh wait, sure.
Six villains. Probably.
Anyway,
They're gonna do it well. This movie does not do it well at
so
all.
it starts with Peter watching Mary Jane do a play. Mary Jane, so much wrong with her in this movie.
She's just so hateable.
Yeah.
She's because Peter. Okay, Peter basically goes just back and forth fighting villains like the whole movie, pretty much. Mary Jane loses her job as an actor because she was bad. And
Yeah.
even though like no one booed, like it was really weird because they were just like,
It was.
yeah, everyone hated it or something. It was like okay. And then oh Harry's
We'll talk about how he
Harry's
gets.
at the theater and he's
Yeah.
like looking
He
at
just.
theater. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, he's leaving the theater on his moped, smiling. The pacing in this is ridiculously fast. Like
I
7 minutes,
know.
he's just
Because
leaving on
he's
a
just
smile,
fighting all the time.
and then Newcomb just swoops in and just eats him up, and like,
And then they go to
it's an interesting thing that in this fight it looks so like bad because they try to use CG and it's 2007 CG.
yeah.
They digitally render Tobey Maguire's face.
Everything just looked way too quick that's happening.
Exactly.
And it's
Just like,
just
there's a ton of stuff happening. Like I don't know, whatever. And then the bombs come and he has his little quippy lines. But the good part about this fight is he's trying to hold on that ring for her, and that's a really
oh
interesting thing.
dude, I remember the ring when he lets go of it, like
Yeah,
a minute passes and it's like barely dropped like 10
I
feet.
know. It's yeah. But anyway, that's one of the things confidence I have for this fight. And then it ends in the most throwaway way possible. He just like turns the corner and Harry's ducking up and down. He just he just smacks his head. He falls.
Plot
And then,
device.
no, do you remember Peter Parker's like reaction?
No.
He like drops down to Harry. He's like starts shaking his face. He's like, Harry, what have I done? It's like he's like outraged that he's like dead, like possibly when he just held out like a metal pipe for him until he's moving.
Oh no, he held out his web and then he like
Oh yeah, he
hit
hit,
it and then
like
he
flung him,
flew
and he
into
did
the
the.
pipe.
But like that was his plan. Like he tried to
I
fling
know.
him. There was like I don't. It was so bizarre. And then you're supposed to care that he's worried for Harry's safety.
And then there's the biggest plot device of all three movies. Harry gets amnesia.
Yeah, so you built up this character. I think Harry's a good like his besides the amnesia, his thing is very consistent. But oh my gosh, like everyone's been waiting for this, and he just gets amnesia for half the movie. He just remembers it later too, right?
Yeah, he just remembers everything.
I will. So before we even get into the
They
other
just
villains,
had to take him out of the movie because they had to make room for two more villains.
yeah.
So
So then anyway, they make room. It literally just flies from space. I guess that's how it happens in the comics, right? Venom
yeah, it's
just
supposed to
attaches
be.
itself. So Venom just kind of chills there until it's time for him to show up. People just wait until it's their turn. I swear, he just sits in his closet for a bit. And then Sandman. I like Sandman. I don't like how they retcon Spider-Man 1 that he's the killer because he got like bumped by his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh yeah, he's not it. It was Sandman. So now you're supposed to care because it's like, oh, he murdered Uncle Ben. We've already done
Yeah,
that.
and then there's the good scene when Sandman gets his powers that feels so drastically different from the
Yeah,
rest
it's
of
like
the
a slow
movie.
tone. It's like they're trying to make it like a deep, like
Deep
beautiful.
moment. And it's supposed to be like powerful, and it's like it's a good scene. If it wasn't in
It's
that
so
movie,
slowly paced compared to the rest of it, so it feels out of place.
yeah.
Yeah. I like. I kind of like that his whole thing, like the reason he is like a villain is because he was just trying to do the best for his daughter, and you almost feel for
Yeah.
him because she's like sick, and the reason he killed is because he was just robbing a bank trying to get the extra money. Anyway, he's obviously a villain, but he's
Not a bad guy, Nathan. He's not a bad guy.
oh yeah, I'm not a bad guy.
Probably says it 20 times in the movie.
Anyway, so yeah, he does. So anyway, they do that. Yeah, Sandman's in the movie now. Venom's also in the closet. Harry has amnesia. They do
And
the oh my
is
god.
this when he becomes Bully Maguire?
Not yet. He does the
When
ceremony
does this? I
thing.
don't remember. Like this
They,
movie's
they,
so.
they celebrate Spider-Man, and he's on the rooftop.
Oh, this scene. Yeah,
They
yeah.
know they're gonna swing in. Takes off the mask. They love me. It's just like if one
Then
person
Peter
turns
does.
around, career's over.
Peter does one of the stupidest things, and
Yeah. So
what? It
Mary
just
Jane,
doesn't make any
I
sense.
know it's out of character, and she just comes out of like getting fired from her job, and she's already jealous of Spider-Man and all the cheers. Then he does their kiss with Gwen Stacy, and he's
It's
like,
so weird,
I know, and he's already a character we've
and
talked
he
about.
acts like it was like nothing. Like he doesn't even address it.
They love me. It's weird, and it makes him more hateable too, because then you're not on anyone's side between Mary Jane and
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Obviously, you hate MJ more, but like
It was
you
just
don't want
supposed to be like Peter was like obsessed with the popularity,
Yeah,
and like
sure, maybe. I don't know.
I mean that was kind of what they were trying to do.
Yes.
And then, but then I don't know. I don't know where the movie tries to take his arc. It's really weird.
Yeah, so she's mad at him. Then MJ starts connecting with Harry again, Amnesia Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So they're close. And then while that's going on, they just sideline characters, and then it's their turn, so they bring them in. So then,
yeah, I mean, when a character isn't on screen, it means they're not doing anything at all. Ever.
yeah, exactly. They're just sitting on their couch. So like,
They're
Sandman
waiting
is
for their
there,
moment.
and he finds out it's time for revenge, and then he does. I don't know if he initially wants it, but once he gets his black suit, he's like, it's like, it like consumes him. It's like the dark side, almost except way weaker. It's just like, it feels him to want to kill. So
Wait, what? Venom?
Yeah, the Venom suit. The
Oh
black
yeah,
suit.
yeah.
So he gets it, and he's like, oh, he feels all good and whatever. Then
This is something else.
yeah, this is something. Then he, it would be so much better to just react to these movies live because you'd be able to tell what we're saying. But like Eddie Brock's taking the picture for the Daily Bugle, just yeets the camera, see a chump, just jumps out away. It's just like right before a fight scene. It's so weird. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock is
He gets his
fine.
job at the Daily Bugle. Like he takes.
Eddie Brock is a good character before he gets the Venom suit.
Yeah, his motivations are valid though because of like Eddie Brock. Like he has every right. I mean, it's
Yeah, he's mad because Spider-Man is mean.
His girl.
And then yeah, Bully Maguire just sits around for majority of the movie.
First, he murders Sandman in the sewers. Just straight up floods him with water.
Does that happen?
Yeah, he survives it, but like he doesn't.
Oh
know that.
yeah, he like
He literally shoves his face against a train. I don't care if he's wearing the black Spider-Man suit. That like it's the same. He's just murdering people, kind of.
Yeah, he's like grinding. Yeah, I remember that scene.
And then but then he just shoots him with water, and he like melts and dies. But
wait, is that before or after he becomes a big sand tornado thing?
That's after, because when he fights the sand tornado, he's still Red Spider-Man. Because the shovel.
I don't understand sand. Like I understand.
His power. Yeah,
his power. Like he should get control of the sand that was with him in the thing, but he just controls all sand.
Yeah, all sand, and he just flies through the sky.
And then there's the guy who's the shovel guy.
Oh my god, so good.
He goes in for the kill.
Yeah, he's like trying to. He has this shovel because he's trying to look for the guy hiding. Just like imagine if that wasn't Sandman. He just like, stabs the sand. I don't know. It's just random things. Like they just do some random stuff.
Yeah.
It's entertaining, the other ones, because it's done like well. Like the whole movie feels like that, but this one takes itself so seriously. So when something like that happens, it's like,
I wouldn't say seriously. Tobey
I know, but
Maguire
it's
is still being himself.
No, but like they expect you to be like, wow, he really wants revenge. I'm like, I feel like there's less quippiness and it's more out of place now.
Yeah.
There's something about it they're trying to be emotional with. I think he already failed his proposal to Mary Jane before this. She didn't want to.
No, it was before Bully Maguire.
Yeah, and she didn't even.
Mysterio or whatever you said.
Yeah, that was such a weird thing. And his teacher was supposed to be the lizard, Dr. Connors.
Like, yeah, I remember that.
Bring up all this stuff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Weird, but
anyway. But yeah, they go into the restaurant, and then Peter fully expects Mary Jane to not be mad at him for kissing another person.
Yeah.
And then Gwen Stacy shows up, right? She's there, right? yeah. And so it's just he like introduces her to him or
One of
to
the
Mary Jane like they she didn't just watch them kiss.
one of the worst things is the way he handles it. Like we keep saying how like stupid Mary Jane is, and she's just a whiny like brat, and she kind of just doesn't get her way. So
On
she
this movie, they just go back and forth between
no,
being
yeah. So
hateable
then she's
characters.
mad about that. The way Spider-Man handles it, Peter Parker handles it, he's like, "Well, Spider-Man does it. Spider-Man does," it. And I get like it's not supposed like it's not exactly a selfish thing, but he could already tell that she's having trouble. Remember Joey first reacted? He's like, "Dude, why does he keep making it about him? Like we make fun of her lie, like it's not about you, it's about me." But it's so,
About
like she's trying to have a heart to heart, and he's just like, "Yeah, Spider-Man gets like hurt all the time, and he it's so dislikable."
this isn't about you. This is about me. They just both of them handle it so poorly.
Yeah, it's
And then Tobey Maguire and
the suit
just
makes him
the way he walks around.
so she gets a job at a jazz club, Mary Jane. So then he starts going. He goes out with Gwen one night. Before that, he does his hair differently, like this. So now he's
Yes.
evil because it's
Now
down.
he's bad.
He gets a suit, and there's just these like women walking on the sidewalk, and he looks like a
It's
creep.
like
Like he doesn't even look
whistles at them. Yeah.
like objectively attractive. He's just like he's like looking at her, and then like that's already weird. And then the most meme thing, he walks into a store. 2 seconds later, comes out, he's like, and it's I know these movies are supposed to be campy and like comedic, but
No.
that's
Can't
not.
justify the scene. It's
It's
so
so
bad.
no, I know. I'm saying like I know it's supposed to be, but oh my gosh, like it's so weird, especially since he's supposed to be dark now because he's like he has the Venom
That's
suit.
I mean, dancing is an evil
It's so
thing.
evil the way he thrusts his hips into the air. It just further solidifies like Toby Maguire at like the low level of Peter Parker slash Spider-Man for me. Now then he
And
danced.
then he goes back to his apartment,
Yeah.
and the hateable rent person, like
Oh,
you already don't like him.
yeah.
He asks for rent, which is his job.
You'll get your rent when you fix this
Damn.
door. Just it's just red. Like they're
Wait,
trying
when
to
did he
show that
say
he's
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye?
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. Who does he say that to? I think he says it
Just
to
like
Eddie
a
Brock.
random person, I think.
I think he said that to Eddie Brock when they're in like the
Oh,
no, yeah,
maybe.
maybe he's on the sidewalk somewhere.
I think it's just like a random
Yeah,
thing,
it's like a
like he
throwaway.
says to someone.
Some dirt in your eye.
It's
But these
so
things are
weird
not.
the
They
lines
don't
that they
define
write.
an evil character, like or even like the dark side of him. It's it's just weird. It's just uncomfortable. It's
I
just
mean,
weird.
but they make for the best lines.
That's true, but like I
They're
like
so funny, all of them.
ironic, like good lines.
Yeah.
And then oh my god, it's getting exhausting. And then so Sandman's dead. Harry remembers it pretty soon, I think, but not yet. So then he tries to take off the Venom suit in a church while the bell is ringing because sound is what like is the black symbiote's weakness.
Sure.
So he's yelling and taking it off. Then Eddie Brock is downstairs because Peter took his job, and I think Gwen broke up with Eddie Brock. He's
Yeah.
praying to God for
Well,
Peter to die. Like I know we don't know Eddie Brock, but what the heck? It's so like dark. It's so weird. And then if you just the Venom suit just falls on him. He jumps at the camera. There's the editing in these movies is just hilarious.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I just stopped every single time. I've like stopped watching the movie at this point.
You would like it sounds so much more entertaining because it's so fast paced, but it's almost boring like how fast it's moving. It's just like things happen, you lose interest because you don't have any emotional connection. People are annoying. Oh yeah, so Harry finds out and then he forces MJ to break up. He forces MJ to break up with Peter. It's so weird.
It's so I don't know.
Then yeah, they break up and Tobey Maguire's crying is so cringe. He's like he does this like weird like lip thing. And he's like, oh, please.
He does the same thing at Uncle Ben's death. It's so funny.
Yeah, I know. It looks like he's like coughing up a hairball or something. I can't even
Yeah,
tell.
it's really strange.
It's good. I like it.
I don't know what happens from this point in the movie. So
So Harry remembers this, and then Harry tries to kill Peter again when he comes to his apartment. But Peter still has the Black Spider-Man suit. Oh, this happens before because Peter has the Black Spider-Man suit. Remember? Then he catches the bomb, just yeets it at him, and explodes half his face.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is before he loses the Venom suit. So he does that. So he's all deformed and stuff. And I guess that's an evil movement. I give up. I don't know. Sure.
And then there's the pie. Or no, what is he? What is it?
Quiche or something.
No,
Or
the
It's pie, I think.
When in the cafe, what does he say?
She's like, "Oh, how do you like pie?" So good.
Oh yeah.
And then Peter sees him in the place, and he turns around and looks at him. Then the car goes by, and he disappears. He's just eating it. Like, what do you do? Duck under the table? Like, I don't understand.
I want to just go over um Harry's lines. They're so funny. I know that face.
I know that face.
I mean, that was way earlier in the movie, but they're so. Oh my gosh.
Almost like in the first two, or no, in the second one for sure. He almost has like a Zuko type vibe where he's just like, I need to find the Avatar and redeem myself, or whatever his
Yeah,
line.
he just
They're just like,
repeats himself.
this is all Spider-Man's fault. I'm gonna kill Spider-Man. It's so like, it's so out of place. Like, okay, we get you're mad. That's cool. That's
I need to
except Avatar is
redeem.
actually written well. So that's the difference there. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay, let's get to the final battle. So Harry's deformed. Venom teams, or isn't that? He just like has half his face gone. I don't know, man. And then Venom teams up with Sandman for some reason. Even though Sandman's not a bad guy,
Not a
so
bad guy.
they capture Mary Jane in a taxi because she has to be in the final battle. Like it's not a final battle without Mary Jane. Put them on top of a building being constructed with the crowd watching. Venom's just this massive sand monster, and Venom's just up there, like dangling her in a taxi cab or something.
Oh, good. She's getting
So
just held.
Peter, one of the best shots ever. He shows up. I think it's this one before he shows up. The final battle. He swings on top of a building and he stands in front of an American flag for a second while it ripples. It's just such a random thing. It's like see like cats. It's yeah. Final battle is it definitely happens for sure. He's like fighting Venom, but he's struggling. Then Harry shows up and he helps them. Then
Yep.
Venom stabs Harry. And it's emotional, but not really. Spider-Man beats him by whacking poles.
This is a good movie.
Yeah, that's
This is
great.
why I don't finish this movie because it's just not after the
And
point.
Sandman just doesn't do anything. He just disappears in the wind. Like he's not even in the. I swear he's not in the final battle. It's weird. He's like a giant monster, but then he just kind of like he talks to. I'm not a bad guy. And then he just disappears again. Then they cry over Harry's dead body. I guess it's emotional, but it would have hit harder had he been like the main villain almost. And then it was supposed to be a redemption arc, but it was like not rushed. It was so he was just sidelined the whole time that the amnesia is such a bad plot device. Like it's a joke, but it's actually such like it like ruins the story almost. You just lose
It's so
connection to
they
Harry.
just they have to just get rid of characters to make for
I
like
know.
they could have seen that if they had to give a character amnesia to make room for other villains that there's a problem.
Harry's a compelling like character in the first two. That's built up. Sandman has an interesting arc, even without killing Peter's like Uncle Ben like that. He's
Yeah.
still an interesting character. Venom, he like Peter wronged him. These would all be great in separate movies,
Yeah.
or like two of them even. Like it's just so like mushed together. And then I don't even remember how the series ends. See, Mary Jane or something. I don't
Sure.
remember.
I don't know. Who cares?
So that's all three of the movies. If I had
Yeah.
to rank them, it would be like 1, 3, 2, maybe. I really don't like the second one. It's really
One, I
boring.
don't know. I thought three would be my favorite, but one is just
One,
so good.
it's good but bad, you know.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like
All right, so we've been praising these movies almost like it's not like we're ripping on them because you could only rip on them if you're actually watching it. Like every
you
20
have to see
seconds,
the
something
clip.
happens.
Like
That's
I'm just debating editing and clips just to,
honestly
but
just
yeah.
to see what we're talking about. Just a couple, but anyway, we don't need to. But anyway, it's where are other? We're gonna talk about fan base and just Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Both have to
Yeah.
do with the fan base. But
Well,
how long has this been going for, by the way?
I don't know. I didn't time it.
All right, I don't
We
want to push it
started
back.
at like 5ish.
We started a little later than that.
It's like yeah, it's like been an hour, probably a little less than an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll keep going. So we'll try to keep it like under 15 minutes, probably. Tobey Maguire and the fan base. So a lot of people are. I mean, most people I'd say are happy with Tom Holland, but those who are either dislike him or think that Tobey Maguire is a better Spider-Man are just like wrong. I'm sorry. Like,
Understand.
I don't really. Like, you go first. And just talk about
It's just okay. Everyone who doesn't like Tom Holland is just like,
Iron Boy G.
well, okay, yes, that. But I feel like they're like big Spider-Man fans. Like I don't know. I mean,
So
I
they're
don't know that many big Spider-Man
in
fans
denial almost.
like who grew up with the Raimi movies, but like they just don't like Tom Holland because he's not Tobey Maguire, and they have no other reasoning. And like, um, the people who do like him, I feel like are just like new people who like were introduced to superheroes in the MCU.
Yeah.
Um, but like, I don't know. I just don't know why they're not able to like accept that he is clearly better as
Yeah,
a Peter Parker and a Spider-Man.
the most, even if you don't like his connection to Iron Man, the rest of the MCU, he's by far the most likable Peter Parker. Like he's just, you connect with him whether you're an adult or our age. Like he's, you could connect with Peter Parker. He feels like a
Well, he
real
is what
person.
he's supposed to be.
He is
He's a
Peter
high
Parker.
schooler.
Yeah, and he's like just embodies a character, and you actually see him being smart. Like he uses that, his
Yeah.
intellect, like his advantage. And Tobey Maguire doesn't really do that. Besides like building his own
He
suit.
can't even. He doesn't even make. Oh, we forgot to talk about that. I mean, first of all, he doesn't make his own
Yeah, they come out of his
hub
wrist. I
fluid.
always
He
thought that's
just
how it
creates
happened.
it, and like also he just like knows how to sew all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Like it's
and
such like a small detail that's just
there's
like
just thrown away.
okay,
It's yeah. There's, you could destroy this movie. We haven't even. We're just recapping it. It's already hilarious. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't like Tobey Maguire that much. Like he serves as, he fits in these movies just because he's so cheesy, and like I just don't see how people defend him as their like definitive like Spider-Man. Like it's so weird. Even his own Spider-Man when he's not Peter Parker, like isn't the greatest. He just kind of does things.
yeah. But okay, back to Tom Holland
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
in the first movie, he's. I mean, I don't know why people say like both of his arcs in both movies are him dealing with balancing Spider-Man in high school, but
Yeah.
like they're kind of opposites in a way. Like how I think about him, it's like the first movie, he's like, um, he's like he wants to be Spider-Man at all the time. Like that he calls happy every day, checks in, and he's like waiting for another mission, and he like doesn't really care about high school that much, or
Yeah.
like seeing his friends. Like he ditches them constantly, and he like falls behind in classes. Um, but then he like learns at the end of the movie. Well, not that like I feel like he appreciates his friends a lot more at the end, but like he learns that shoot, I just lost my train of thought.
He learns that like being like with great power comes great responsibility. Like that's pretty much his arc in that movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes,
At the same time, but like it's like smaller responsibility. Like he has to serve his purpose, and he wants to be.
yeah, like he's just always trying to do the right thing, and he
And he
like,
makes a character moment at the end. Obviously, he knew like that it was a test, but like it's a big thing to say that like he
oh,
couldn't
what are
be
yeah,
Avenger.
yeah,
Yeah, but then it wasn't actually.
and then
But
it's like the whole thing where he like, even though he finally starts to focus on high school
yeah,
because like Spider-Man, like he messed up, and then
yeah,
he asks out his crush, whatever. He goes, but then he finds out who um, Vulture. I
okay.
spaced
Walker
out.
loses
I don't know
dad.
what
I actually
happened.
really like that twist. That
Yeah,
was
he finds out who Vulture is,
surprised me.
and then like his whole character is like he, even though he has the crush, he can't like let it go. That
Yeah,
like that he's like letting a bad guy um, go free, and
yeah.
so that's like his whole thing at the end of the movie.
And then Far From Home, he's learning. He literally has to balance his life with like this is like it's almost the opposite. Like this time he finally
Yeah, that's what I'm
learns
saying.
his purpose, and yeah, and then what? But then in Far From Home, he literally like he wants to like he gets adapted to that and like living a normal life while being inspired. But then
He
he's
doesn't
forced
want
into
anyone.
such a bigger role, especially
Yeah.
without his own mentor. They are different. Well, they both deal with responsibility, but they're different. So
Hmm.
yeah, I
Um,
just
but
base love. Tom Holland's just way more likable anyway. He's just
yeah, it's just like I mean the movie's funny in a good way, and
yeah,
it's like
it's Marvel comedy, and I know people like to tear that apart. It's like oh, they don't take it seriously, but it's not funny because you're making fun of its like lines and
yeah,
because of the story plot points.
yeah.
I just
Um, but it's just like it deals as like as a high schooler watching that movie, it
yeah,
like it feels like high school. Like it's like most things that tackle high school like over exaggerated.
they're adults and they don't. Yeah, they're like
Like not well, not even that, but they just
they
like
don't
I
portray it
think
well.
like Flash. I don't. He's not at all like the comics,
Yeah,
but like because in the comics he's an over exaggerated excuse
bully.
for a bully. Like
This
bullies
is
don't
like
just
a
like
this one's like a demeaning verbal bully
yeah,
almost. He's also
exactly.
not
And that's
struggling.
like more likely what you're going to see in high school.
They hint that he's like struggling with his own problems at home too with his parents.
Yeah.
Like, but like that's a really interesting way to do it. And then MJ, like Mary Jane, and that's not a real person. No one would ever act like that in real life. Like the MCU characters just feel like like not villains, real people. Like Zendaya, I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's dark and weird, and but she's like that. MJ is a really interesting like Mary Jane. I don't know. and it doesn't all like
It's not Mary
have to be
Jane.
common character.
It's not her
What?
name. It's not her name.
Oh well,
It's like
MJ.
Michelle
Yeah.
something. I forget. It's not Mary Jane though.
I'll
But
just
she is
find it.
MJ. I don't
Yeah.
know. But and then one of the things that at first I was like, I mean, it felt really sudden where Peter just develops a new romantic interest right after the other one left.
Yeah, that
But
is
like
weird.
thinking about it more, like I mean, there's like a decent amount of time between the two movies, right?
Yeah, there is, and
And like it's high school. Like
exactly.
you're gonna
Like,
move on.
exactly. And at the same time, he never developed a strong relationship with Liz. It was more like a high
Yeah.
school crush he was trying to impress and go to
Yeah.
dinner.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a high school story. And then they like he and like MJ clearly work in like Far From Home. Like they work off each other well. And it's almost
Hmm.
like a cutesy like high school like teen comedy
Yeah.
relationship. It's so much more interesting. So you buy it, you know? It's Far From Home's so good. And so is Homecoming. They're just both so
They're
strong.
both really good movies. Yeah.
And they do the Spider-Man story without repeating it. Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's such a good way to tell like the story for the third time to still make it fresh.
Well,
And
they
those
don't
are
just like. I feel like they don't depend on the suit. Like they show Peter's character. Like you don't always want to see him fighting. Like
yeah.
it's really
Far
interesting.
From Home is very little actual fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Like
they're
it's really
projections
interesting to
anyway.
see his character and
Yeah,
growth.
it's really cool. And I don't like it's yeah, his suit is obviously like the Iron Spider in Infinity War. It's cool, and then he gets all these gadgets in the Far From Home when he creates it, but they don't rely on it. You're right. Like he's not a different person in the suit.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
Raimi trilogy feels like two completely different people. I don't buy it. Same with Anakin
Mhm.
and Darth Vader. Like Tom Holland is Tom Holland, like in the suit or without it. It's really refreshing to see Spider-Man be Spider-Man, like
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
He's just the best version of the character we've gotten.
It's just it's so good. I don't know. I don't know how to talk about this movie without like
No, yeah, I
explaining
mean,
it because
we're
it's
just
just
rushing
there's a
over it.
lot.
I want to rip on the fan base a little bit, the passion over it. It's okay to like a movie. It's okay to be nostalgic about it. Like Steven talked about Iron Man, how he likes it because that's his movie. Raimi trilogy. I did not grow up with the MCU. I liked them at a younger age, obviously, but like Raimi movies are my movies. Like those like have a place in my heart still. But you cannot rip on the MCU for being Iron Boy Jr. and being too kidsy and not serious enough when you are a fan of the Raimi trilogy and the MCU has more compelling stories, themes, character arcs, villains then like it
No,
beats
no,
it in
no,
every
no, no,
category.
no. Nathan, the MJ in the Holy Raimi trilogy is so
Yeah,
deep. She's so deep and has so much character
she
development
sells every
and
time.
yeah,
Yeah, no, but like you gotta treat like imagine Doc Ock or Green Goblin. Put Doc Ock in like Far From Home. Like say he everyone makes fun of like Mysterious another like Tony Stark. He's mad at him, but imagine Doc Ock like he didn't exist in the Raimi ones. He did in the MCU. Everyone would tear that up. Are you kidding me? The Raimi was like, oh wow, he's just a base level villain. Doesn't have the deep thinking that our trilogy does. Like MCU
yeah,
tries with their villains. I
yeah.
really like Vulture. I don't know. I just like
Well, no,
Mysterio.
Vulture's character is really good.
He's one
It's
of my
like
favorite villains still in the
because
series.
they make him a villain. Like and I don't know. It's just it's sad to say that's. I mean, it's just like a typical MCU thing that villains don't really have that much personality. But
Yeah,
like recently, they've been getting a lot better
yeah.
at doing it, and like Vulture is one of those examples where
So
you like
yeah,
he's doing it for his family.
he's trying to provide, and they set that up the whole way. They keep talking about it, and the fact that he has like a personal relationship to Spider-Man through the
Hmm.
girl Liz, and
Yeah,
that's such a cool thing. Like it makes you even feel like worse for him because he really Sandman always says it, but he really is not a bad guy. He's just trying to provide, and that opening
yeah.
scene is such a good example of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, they just do everything. It's so well thought out. Like and that's probably a result of like the MCU already thinking everything out. But like they really do try with their heroes and villains, and everyone loves it except for the diehard Raimi fans. But
Yeah. And then there's like scenes, just like seeing Peter alone, like the whole scene where he gets stuck in like the military facility.
mhm.
Like they do that scene so well. Like where
I
it's
know,
like interesting and like
I know.
funny.
It's really cool to
Like
like
you
see him
get to
figure out.
learn more about Peter, and it's like I don't
It's
know.
a very
It's just
short
like
scene too. I know it feels, but like it's a very short scene, but you learn so much about him just like in
yeah,
there. And I really like that he has Ned. Like I know Ned's like arguably a comic relief character, but he's one of the best like I've seen like in any movie. He's just
hmm,
so like likable, and he connects with Peter. Like they have their handshake
yeah,
or whatever, and they bounce off each other well. And it's really cool to see him have someone, so he's not narrating it or talking to Mary Jane or just talking to himself to deliver information. It's really like an interesting way to.
well, it's because like Peter doesn't know what he's doing like at all, and it's
Yeah,
just like he's not expected to,
yeah.
and
So
if
he's
he
figuring
has
it
like
out.
this friend to go through it with,
Exactly. It's so cool. because as a high schooler, like I'm not saying I don't go through like personal hardships, but like you want to go through things with your friends or like with your girl or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
anything. Like you want to have someone to talk to. You don't want to bottle up inside. And like that's why everyone like that's personally why I feel like he feels like a real teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland he's
I
really
know.
only talking to his friend and trying to figure
Like,
everything
and
out.
he looks like one too. It's
He does
crazy.
that's just a nice coincidence.
I
But
don't even know how
that
he
casting is
looks
like perfect.
like
He's
he
been
could, like he's
typecast.
supposed to be 16,
He's like
16,
25 or
15, the first
something.
movie as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Like he could be a 16 or 15-year-old. He sounds like one,
Yeah. Looks like one too.
but he's like 20. It's weird.
25 or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like we pretty much covered it. But it's just I just have strong feelings about the fan base, and we just make fun of them, say they're stupid, like the prequel. But like in reality, they're just not fair. It's okay to cling on to something nostalgic. You just cannot rip on another two movies that they're really strong,
Yeah.
really really strong, and it's not fair to rip on those, especially when someone in your background. Anyway,
Um,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
they're really good, but yeah, the fan bases are just toxic. Like they don't. And then there's a whole Andrew Garfield fan base. I don't
yeah,
even
that's
know what they're
we gotta watch
defending.
those movies again. We'll review those every all you listeners out there. I really want to again because I don't know. I feel like those that review might
So
be short. There's not the Raimi
they're just
movies.
boring.
I don't know. In
They don't have
summer,
anything going for them. Like there's not like a.
the Raimi
Uh,
movies are good, entertaining, nostalgic movies, and if you don't take them seriously, and when the movies don't take themselves seriously, they're the best. So I said the
yeah,
first one's the
yeah.
best. The next two kind of try to be like a movie, like with actual, and it just I don't think it works personally, but I know there's
They're
people that
not
disagree
good.
with me. Yeah, they're just not great. I don't know.
Just like the watchable, the watchability. Is that even a word? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like anyone can watch the MCU Spider-Man movies. Literally anyone. Like it's like Guardians, but better. Like
Yeah.
Guardians, I'm pretty sure you could. Like probably a lot of people got
If I were
introduced.
to introduce them to the MCU, honestly, like Homecoming and like those, that would be a
Yeah,
good start.
because they
Homecoming.
just feel they don't feel like a superhero movie. They're a high school um drama. No, I don't know. Like a
I don't
high
know.
school movie that has a superhero in it. That's pretty much it. Like it's not dependent on Spider-Man.
I mean, to build off that for personal experience, like my girlfriend's only seen one MCU movie. I got to get on that, but like it
Yeah.
was Far From Home when it first released, and she told me she liked it, and like she hasn't seen the rest of the MCU, and that's really like cool to be able to just pick one movie, especially like that, be able to watch it on its own,
Hmm.
understand the story, not needing to watch the others. It helps obviously, and like for
Yeah.
us we like it, but that's a really good trait to have, especially with all the movies like tied together. I think that's a really cool thing.
And then also just briefly touch Far
Yeah,
From Home, coming from Endgame, it just does it really well. Where
really
it's like
brilliantly. It's a really
people
smart way.
need just like a funny movie
Yeah.
they can watch. It's not stressful or like emotionally draining. It's just like you could
It's a
watch that
fun watch,
movie
but you
so many
care enough.
times,
Yeah, it's really good.
and it makes the whole thing a joke. Like, but like
Yeah,
not in a bad
but
way.
not in a bad way. Yeah, people you can't even hate on it because it's like it does it in the right way. That's probably like the represent the things they do with like the school like what do you want to call it their show or whatever. Like we have like
Oh yeah,
and like
yeah.
it that's how our school would probably handle. Like it's just it's so good at being relatable for like a teen
Mhm.
comedy that's also a superhero.
Yeah, it
Movies are
feels
like
like a high
really good.
school. Like yeah, we
Yeah,
have those things at our school, and they're
exactly.
just as awkward as
You know,
those.
and if the Raimi movies weren't like enough already on their own to be like not at that level, then like the MCU ones completely proved it wrong because you get to like have a point of reference to compare it to, and it just looks so much weaker. Like if you watch those two and you go back to the Raimi trilogy, then it's just like, hmm.
Yeah,
It's the same thing with Star Wars fans. You just got to drop your passion, and, like be able to admit, even if you like something, you need to be able to accept the other opinion.
yeah,
We'll do a
dude.
sequels video soon, but like I don't hate the sequel movies. I don't hate people that like the sequels. It's just how it is. Like I don't hate prequel fans either. I just need them to respect others like
But the
opinions.
originals are the best. It's a well-known fact. Danny, the originals
Rise of
are
Skywalker.
better than the sequels, and you can't argue against that.
Yeah, it's those are movies that hold nostalgia. That's a great example. The originals have nostalgia, strong story, and it still holds up. And those are made 30 years before the
Yeah,
Spider-Man movies. So that's scary. Anyway, yeah, I mean, is that pretty much it? We've talked about a lot of
I
stuff.
think. I mean, we
Yeah,
talked about fan bases. I mean, just comparing the
yeah,
Spider-Mans, I guess. But like
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, because
Oh
Andrew
yeah.
Garfield's
So
trash.
my final ranking probably 3, 1, 2. I think I like the third one still. It's just so such a movie.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
true.
But the first one's good
Definitely
too.
a movie.
Two is definitely my least favorite. It's not bad by any means. They're pretty close to the same. Like Cosmonaut said, like everyone rips on three and says it's the bad one. They're all really similar in
No,
tone.
yeah,
And
they're
it's all. It
one.
does feel
If
like a
you're gonna like
franchise.
rip on it for being like cheesy, one is by far the cheesiest movie I've ever watched.
Yeah, I know.
But
It doesn't
two,
make
I
it
mean,
bad.
not two. Three is just like there's so much going on in the movie, so fast paced compared to
Yeah.
the other ones.
Well, if you're looking for a family movie night for all ages, don't
MC
watch the Raimi
Spider-Man.
trilogy. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but
No,
no, the Raimi
no.
ones, are they're you know. I just feel like with over time they're gonna date even more because they look kind of cheesy now. But yeah,
What?
they're gonna date like they're gonna age worse. I feel like over time because they already
Oh
look
yeah,
cheesy
they're not.
now. Look, they're made
Okay.
in the 2000s. It's not ancient.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well,
That's pretty much it for our discussion today.
drop a like,
Yep.
subscribe,
Subscribe.
comment for the next
Follow.
video,
Hmm.
DM if you want to be in the next video, follow the Instagram at podcast_time_times. Same thing for TikTok.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we're trying to crank out videos like every other day. Yeah, we'll probably be
Yeah.
able to upload on a pretty consistent schedule. I mean, by the time this comes out, we already have the WandaVision one's out now, but the Star Wars one will come out,
And
and
this
then
one.
we're doing every WandaVision episode.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's a series that we're having.
Yeah, those will
And
probably
we don't
be
know if
short.
we're gonna like make it separate, but we're just like
Yeah.
making it part of the thing
Anyway,
for
but
now.
leave suggestions in the comments. Yeah.
And yeah, watch the whole video.
Share
I
it
mean,
to
okay,
everyone
you're
you know.
already at the end, so it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
if you just skip to the end, watch the whole video because we need watch time for money.
Share it to everyone you know.
Everyone.
Mailman, dog
Sure.
walker,
Yeah.
cousin, baby. You know what I'm saying. How else you
Okay.
feeling? Well, we'll catch you next time. By the way, peep new mic.
Sean,
We've already
thank you.
reeled in so much cash I was able to go in. Shout out to you,
Yes.
Sean. The best.
If you made it this far, Sean, then we appreciate the mic
Yeah,
for
people are
making
rewatching these when we're at 1 million subs, then dang, you're famous now. All right.
it. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye everybody.